All right, good afternoon, everybody. Back here at Anything But Hold'em playing the TCOOP-02 No Limit Omaha High-Low Turbo, of course, since all the TCOOPs. The TCOOP is the Turbo Championship of online poker, so everything in this series is going to be turbo. Today it's the No Limit Omaha High-Low. I want to ticket into this playing the Sats for the tournament. Played a couple yesterday. I think I'm in this for $19.20 worth of satellites. I'm pretty sure I played a $7.50 satellite that I busted, and then I played a $2.20 rebuy. It was a single rebuy. I rebought the single time, busted that as well before the add-on, so I paid $4.20 for that. And then I played another $7.50 satellite that I won the ticket in. So I'm pretty sure I'm in this for $19.20 for the $55 ticket. So doing pretty good. I'm going to add the buy-in for today to my results. So we are at 22/01 2015 at noon. Season 2, episode 011 is Poker Stars, Omaha High-Low, No Limit. This is actually going to be TCOOP-02. So we use ticket. Yes, we use ticket. And this is a 50 plus point, well, not 0.5, 50 plus 5. I'm so used to playing the lower stakes games at $55. Alrighty, so that is set. Let's go back to my summary page so it shows up properly on the screen. Blah, 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 blah. There we go. We are rock and rolling. I'm going to take the lobby off the screen once the table comes up. Just got the lobby on there now while we wait for the tournament to start, which should be coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Still got a hell of an overlay. Only got half the number of people, less than half the people we need to hit the $100,000 guarantee. There's 75 minutes of late registration, so that seems to me like we're probably going to hit the 2,000 people, but I don't think it's going to be a huge amount over the guarantee, frankly. So, alrighty, so we've got, that is not the table that I want to have up on here, so I'm going to just close that down for a second. Get rid of that. This is the proper table coming up now that I want to put on the stream. Oh, I forgot to mention this is 6 max as well as being turbo, so it's going to be like Action City, I think. Right, so table properties is TCOOP. TCOOP, roger that. We are no longer starting soon. Let's take the lobby off. Let's get this sorted out properly. Put that there and go boom. Let's go over to our info tab. And we're rocking and rolling. Looks like I skipped a big blind there. Getting table move just before my big blind. Took down a pot there with the ace-3 low pre-flop. So we're slightly ahead of the starting stack. Guess I should turn the webcam on. Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where in the world you happen to be. It's actually afternoon for me. All right, Daz, welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back. Here we go. Are you in this one as well, Daz? If you are, run good, buddy. See you at the final table. So our ROI has been dropping a little bit since we won the daily and came 10th in the 25 game, which is not surprising. It was a pretty sick run there. So getting a nice cash in this one would certainly bump that up again for us. I'm still pretty happy that we're well in the black or green or however you want to put it. So that's not a problem for me at this point, but it would be nice to. I was pretty happy when my ROI was up over 200%. That's a pretty darn nice ROI, I think. So. Alrighty, this is a nice example of one of those hands that pot limit high you think is super powerful, pot limit high low not so much, or Omaha high low not so much. It still might be a blind steal raise at a different stage in the tournament. It just doesn't seem to me to be really be worth. The pots are so small at this point that I'm only looking at 30 chips. Yeah, it sets up a table image to a certain extent, but. I mean, I think at this point I'm gonna want to play hands with a stronger possibility for low, really. There's other times when I'm quite happy to throw bets in with only a high hand, but I don't think the stage of the tournament is that's really going to be a good strategy most of the time. So yeah, I've changed up the visual format of the stream just a little bit. Was in conversation a bit with Jamie Staples about it. He gave me some suggestions that I think are actually excellent ideas and suggestions. So I've incorporated those, and I think it's a little bit crisper and sharper now than it was before. So as I said, this is the $55 no limit Omaha high-low 6-max turbo TCOOP event number 2. It is a $100,000 guarantee, which means there needs to be 2,000 people in a $55 tournament to meet that guarantee, and currently there have been 1,278 people registered in this tournament. Still got an hour and 8 minutes for late registration, so seems pretty likely that it will hit the 2,000 mark before the registration closes. Roger that, Daz. Well, I mean, obviously, I don't. Well, maybe not obviously, but I don't have the bankroll to be playing a $55 tournament myself. I'm only in here because I sat it in uh, yesterday. I was playing Sats and I managed to get a ticket. I'm in for about $19.20 on the 55, so it's pretty decent discount on the ticket price, I think. It's funny when I started this anything but Hold'em journey. I really would not have guessed that Omaha High-Low would have been the game that I'm making most of my big scores off of. That just would seem to be very bizarre to me. I would have picked a Raz. I would have picked triple stud. I would have picked stud high low, and I've certainly I've certainly cashed in a bunch of those, and I won a triple stud early in the. Or I think I won a couple of triple studs on stream and things like that. But it's really the Omaha high lows are the ones that I've been just sort of killing the bankroll with. So uh, I certainly wouldn't have guessed that if you'd have asked me when I sat down to start playing all these mixed games. Which were the ones I would have made money on. I would have guessed it would have been the stud games, maybe a Badoogie, um, something like that. I would absolutely not have guessed Omaha High Low. That would have been the last one on my list, frankly. So it's kind of interesting the way it's worked out. Because I definitely have. I mean, with the win and the limit, Omaha High Low daily. Of course, I got the ticket on this the other day on stream, and I've cashed in a ton of the NL08s, sit and goes, and limit Omaha High Low tournaments as well. I mean, there's one at 9:35 my time in the evenings that I've cashed in a couple of times on stream, um, and a couple of times off stream as well. So it's just kind of bizarre. It's kind of bizarre how things work out when you actually sit down and run an experiment rather than guessing what the results of the experiment would be in advance. Because no, Omaha High Low would not have been the game I would have picked. But hey, I'm happy. I like it. 267. We do have 3 cards to a low and 2 suits in this, so it's definitely a playable hand in a high-low context. But again, I think we're early on, and it's probably best to be err on the side of being tight early on while we kind of feel out what's happening. So we would have flopped a flush draw, but with the paired board again, that's obviously not the strongest place to be. Um, yeah, I mean, I really don't think that it's going to work out well. Brick low, and yeah, the tens are going to take that out all the time. I think this one with the one suited suit or one nutted suit and 3 cards with the ace, I think is a much more reasonable situation. So it's not the worst flop in the world for us. The pair of sixes is not going to be a super strong hand, but I like the fact that the deuces come up there. That makes our stronger. That's obviously not the best river card. I think we're just going to check behind for showdown value because, I mean, it's we quartered there, or we quartered them there, but the truth is we won more than we should have on that. The way that board ran out, it was pretty unlucky for PLO8 check, frankly, and pretty lucky for us there. So, you know, it was a bit harsh for PLO8 check. Canadian. going to do a quick run through actually on the leaderboard or on the list of players and see if there's anybody with a red spade next to their name or stuff like that that I recognize. I mean, I'm not actually going to be able to look at the names to see if I recognize anybody else, but just to see if there's a red spade at least. Yeah, I'm going to fold that one, I think. The H4 was obviously playable for Gorel from Poland. I don't think I know who that is, but there's one pro. Yeah, I'll get rid of that one as well, I think, most of the time. At the moment, I'm only seeing the one red spade in here. Obviously not through the whole list yet, but that's interesting. Only saw the one red spade in the whole list. Interesting. Would have thought there'd have been more pros in this one. More sponsored pros in this one, but maybe they'll jump in late. Who knows? There's still a full hour of registration left, so lots of time for that. I could probably raise the pair of jacks 5-7 if it folds around to me. If there's action in front, I'm not sure that I need to get involved at this stage of the game, frankly. But I think at this point it's going to be worth putting a raise in. Try to take it down pre-flop. I've got, when it comes up, I'm relatively happy with that flop. I mean, there's no reason for me to think he's on clubs. I suppose I could check there as well, but it's hard to interpret his bets at that stage. When he check calls there, or when he calls my bet there, I think I can expect that he's connected with the board in some manner. My jacks are still going to be ahead of both a 7 or a 10 that's hit the board, so I think I'm in pretty good shape for the most part, but I also don't really want to be bloating the pot either at this stage of the game. I still don't think there's any reason to think that obviously his call on the flop could be clubs. There's no reason why it couldn't be clubs, but I don't necessarily think it has to be clubs, and I think that a 7 or a 10, I'm going to get value out of a 7 or a 10 sometimes. I'm also going to get, I'm also going to lose to clubs. But, I don't think that was a horrible bet on the river. Josh, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Good to see you, man. Sorry, I was not paying attention to chat, so it took me a minute to notice you were here, but good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. I'm going to get rid of that one. Yeah, well, I mean, I honestly don't think that I would do nearly as well in Omaha High games, Josh. But the Omaha High Low, certainly, I think that I've got some form of edge in for sure. I am playing a Premier League off on the side, which It's fairly typical for me at noon my time to be playing that if I'm playing anything else. Here I'm also playing a Premier League on the side. But it is HoldEm, so we won't put it on the stream here. Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the person. I know that there's a lot of these sponsored pros that are more volume than, or at least as much volume as they are skill in their play. You know, so there is certainly volume and ability to withstand the bankroll needed to be playing the higher stakes at a high volume. Um, you know, and even if you're marginally a loser at those stakes, you know, if you're getting supernova status, you're probably still making money at the end of the day. So, you know, you can be can even maybe be a reasonably significant loser at those stakes if you're playing the right volume and still be making money off the rake back bonuses and stuff like that. I think. But having the bankroll to be able to sustain that is part of what you need to do that. So obviously the ace deuce deuce king with the suited nutted spades is going to be a pretty strong hand in the high low context pretty much all the time. With the 3-6 coming down, we've got the nut low draw, and I'm pretty happy with that. The deuces are even going to be good for high a reasonable amount of the time. I don't think a huge amount of the time, but I think a reasonable amount of time they're going to be good. So I actually think that putting slightly more than half pot bet in at this point is decent value. It's going to take the pot down here some of the time, and I'm going to get uh, potentially called, I think, by the weaker lows, and you know, maybe like the 4-5s for the lows have called me. So I'm pretty happy to continue to value this hand with slightly more than half pot bets. And I'm pretty happy to take it down right there as well, knowing that I had the nut low and not much of a high. I'm pretty happy to take the full pot without contesting it on a river. So the suited nutted ace in hearts with the ace deuce is always going to be a relatively strong position to be in. Um, Being under the gun, obviously, I think that I've got some weakness. I don't think I can fold this at this stage. I say could have probably done a re-raise on that, but again, I've just hit top pair, and I'm pretty happy with the nut low draw that I've got, so I'm going to keep playing. Oh, I've frozen. There we go. We're back in. I've now got the nut flush draw, so I'm pretty happy to keep playing this. And in fact, I think I'm going to do some. So this could be a short day for me. Well, hit the nut low that I was going for, anyways. But in this game, it's going to have to be that sort of thing. It's turbo. It's things are going to move pretty quickly. Pots are going to grow like that, and I'm going to have to be willing to put my money in situations like that where I'm drawing to obviously the nut low hand, even if I'm drawing. Probably not always going to have to be willing to do it, but I'm going to have to be willing to do it some of the time. Roger, that's a pretty good flop for our hand, folks. So I think I'm pretty happy to be check raising. Well, and that's a pretty well. The paired 9 obviously is not the greatest thing in the world for us. Definitely going to be putting money in the pot on this one. But yeah, I mean, really not much better flop for our hand than that. Current numbers are 1,600 people entered. 204 places are paying. I'm going to raise the deuce 3-4 double suited over here, especially blind on blind. It's a pretty strong hand, blind on blind. Pretty happy to put the c-bet in with the pair of jacks there. You know, obviously an 8 is going to either call or raise me there, but probably call me there so they can take more money out of me. But I also think that, well, maybe there was not a lot of reason to c-bet that actually, frankly. Maybe because, I mean, what am I getting that's worse to call me? Everything better is calling me. But what am I getting worse? I'm not folding anything better, and I don't think anything worse is calling. So maybe there wasn't a reason to bet that. Now that I think about it, interesting. I have to go back and look at that again once the tournament's over and just see in that spot whether. I think there's always an argument for betting so that and getting the hand over with now, because especially in the Omaha context, there's so many permutations and combinations that can pop out on turns and rivers that getting the hand over before it starts is, you know, worth something in equity, I think, in these, and just, you know, pulling in the chips without having to show anybody your hand, I think is worth some money in these situations. That's obviously a pretty good hand that we're going to be putting some money into the pot with. You know, clearly it's ace deuce. Pair of deuces is, you know, not the greatest high in the world, but, you know, deuce comes down on the flop, and although it hurts our lows, it makes a pretty nice high hand for us. So clearly that's not the best flop for our hand. Got 100% c-bet rate. I think we're going to check back on this. Just let it go. We're now hitting the nut low draw, so I think we're definitely calling a bet here without question. And we've hit the nut low, so we're in like Flynn on this one. We've got jacks and deuces for high, which is not going to win the high pot often, but I think it's going to win it enough that it's worth being here on. And I actually think that the strength of our low is worth putting a a raise in on the river, just because we're going to be. I didn't really expect it to work out that way, frankly. But I'm happy that it works out that way. The jacks and deuces, I'm actually surprised. The jacks and deuces shouldn't be good there very often, frankly. I really don't think they should be good there very often. But I guess I am splitting the low fairly frequently there. I was actually expecting if there was a quartering happening there, it was going to be me that got quartered, not Fisher. But hey, I'll take the extra chips. I shall take the extra chips. So that's nice. Puts me in 281st position right now. 216 people are cashing. At present, there's $16,250 up top, and a min cash is worth 105 bucks. Ace deuce still has us capped for low, but we have the second nut low at this point. The pair of threes is not going to be good for high here very often. And we are drawing runner to the low hand that we have. So I think in this situation, with no heart in our hand, we're just gonna get rid of the cards and move on to the next pot. With no low out there, I'm gonna dump the pair of nines as well. One final thing I need to do with this stream that I haven't quite worked out yet is how to get my HUDs to show on screen. I'm actually using two HUDs, HoldEm Manager 2, which does some Omaha work, as well as the new Javaro, free Javaro HUD. But I can't get either of them to show on my screen, and I'm not really sure why. I'm showing overlays and things, but it seems to be, they seem to be coming in a weird way. So I'm just going to keep working on it. Hopefully I can get my HUDs to appear up as well. But I do have, like I say, I am running a couple of HUDs that I can see that you can't see on the screen, that kind of give me some indication of the way people are playing. But that Javaro HUD's pretty good actually for a basic HUD. I really like the visual aspect of it and the way it visually represents the strength of people's hands. Well, not the strength of their hands, but the way that they're been acting. And it takes a bit of getting used to figure out what it all means. And I'm still not really there at the end, I don't think. But the more I look at it, the more I like the way that it's showing me, who to attack and who not to attack and that sort of thing. So it's quite intuitive that way, I think. So for the record, they do not promote me in any way or sponsor me in any way. So that's just an honest opinion of somebody using the program, not something I'm paid to say. I'm gonna get rid of this so early in the game. I've been getting decent frozen. Come on, fold. Why are you frozen on me? Why are you frozen on me? Oh my God, why are you frozen on me? I'm going to play around with some stuff here and see if I can fix this because I don't want to be frozen. Just going to go off screen for a second. Okay, could come back on again. Yikes, that was scary. That was scary. I hate when that happens. It's been happening to me a fair bit actually with the new stars. Since it didn't happen. The weird thing is it did not happen when I was using Star 7 in beta, but as soon as they flipped over to say everybody on Windows had to use Star 7, I started to see these weird table freezes where the only way to fix it seems to be to close the table out and reopen, take my seat again from the lobby, which is, not a very good situation really. Stars needs to deal with that if there's those bugs in it, because it does seem pretty buggy. It does seem pretty buggy. Oh, 1,721 people in. So yeah, 44 minutes left in late registration. We're gonna hit the guarantee without a problem. I think I'm not sure we'll crush it, but we'll definitely hit it and surpass it by a fair bit here. Looking at this point, looking probably like 2,100, 2,200 at least in here, which is going to be like $110,000, $120,000 guarantee, something like that. I'm gonna throw a raise in with this one. The deuce three. I never really like having four of the same suit in my hand because it really reduces the chances of the suits coming out on the flop. But the deuce three with the 8, I think, is strong enough low to be looking at it. So top pair and the third nut low I think that's worth some chips. And yeah, I mean, I think we take that down with that bet fairly regularly. And I think that it's, again, like I say, I think that there's added value to, especially in an Omaha context where there's so many permutations and combinations that can happen as cards come out, so many draws, that I think there's value in just pulling chips in, um, pulling an entire pot in instead of having to contest for the high and the low pot. So just watching on stream, my freeze up problem comes back here pretty quickly. I hope it's back on my broadcast software. Anyways, there we go. We're back. Hopefully that won't happen too often today. I might give that a try, Daz. I'll give that a try next time. I tried going to the lobby and just taking my seat again, but I actually have to close it down. That's a pretty good flop for our hand, so I think we're going to throw chips in the pot. Call by PLO8 check. I'm still pretty happy with our hand at this point. I don't think it's something that we need to put value on. We bricked our high. We basically got a pair of sixes at this point. I think probably check call at this stage. I suppose I could have kept barreling there, but I think that the sixes aren't going to be good very often. I think my A6 low might be good with the deuce and the three out there. Yeah, it's not, but that's okay. I don't know. I think I'm going to be good there. I don't know if I'm good there often enough for 1300. Call there on the end. That's more than half pot. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Probably not. Probably actually not. Now that I think about it, that's probably a pretty bad call on the end. I should have known I was beat. Especially against PLO8 check, I haven't really had any reason to suspect that she's anything but a very good player. So, um, I think that river bet, I can pretty much assume that she's going to have that most of the time. I suppose when I bet check, she might take that as a sign of weakness and um, thereby want to fire bluffs. But I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening that often. I think that she's firing with the goods there most of the time in that spot, and I think that um, she's firing with the goods for value there. Um, Definitely not firing with a weak, uh, with a weakish hand. It's either air or um, what she had. So, and I don't think it's air that often. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, I probably shouldn't have called that river. I probably shouldn't have called that 1300 on the river. I probably should have known I was behind on both ends. Live and learn. clearly someone with the name PL08 check at least thinks they're good at this game. So, you know, gonna have to keep that in mind. Whether they are or not maybe remains to be seen, but they definitely think that that they're an 08 player. The Deuce 5-7 is definitely playable there. If I had a nutted suit, I'd certainly be more inclined to put money in the pot with it, but that's one I'm just going to get rid of most of the time. Yeah, that one's a fold as well. Deuce 3-6-8, that's probably something I'm going to get involved in, I think. Deuce 3 is always a uh, pretty strong low hand. It's obviously not the nuts. It's not that far off the nuts. And it's a pretty nice flop for our hand at the end of the day. I think I was gonna bet there. He said a lead out, but I think I'll check to the aggressor. Half pot c-bet seems pretty standard. So I think we're gonna call that with our set of threes. There's gonna be no low hand now, so we don't have to worry about our low being capped out. So I think we're gonna check again. And I think now that he's checked back on the turn, we are going to half pot the river and let him make a decision. I think we're going to get called by kings and tens here quite a bit. Kings and tens or a king or a 10 is going to call us there quite a bit. Somebody who is playing for the low and missed it, but maybe hit a 5 there on the river might also be calling us at that stage, although it's unlikely that they would call us. Again, the deuce 3-6-8, we're going to play that. Again, we're going to check to the aggressor. So checks around there. I think again we're going to check around to the aggressor, see if he wants to put in a delayed c-bet. The there's going to be, I mean, obviously the ace deuce is going to, that feels a lot like an ace deuce weak high sort of bet, but I don't think that I have enough to make that, to contest it anyways. But still, I'm going to fold that. Welcome, welcome to everybody. Welcome to Anything But Hold'em. We're playing the TCOOP-02 No Limit Omaha High-Low $55 buy-in. I won the ticket through a couple of satellites. Ended up paying about $19.20 for this $55 buy-in ticket. So pretty decent discount off the ticket price. Doing okay. A starting stack of 5,000 chips, so we're just above that. We've been up and down a little bit. We've been, it's it's one of those games where chips get in the middle and things happen. So it's pretty easy to bust, pretty easy to end up with a big stack. Being a high-low game, pretty easy to end up pretty even through the whole thing as well because you're splitting pots all the time. So it's it's one of those weird situation games. I suppose in this hand that's I'm just watching now with the where I had the set of threes with the deuce 3 6 8. I guess I could have checked the river to see if he wants to throw in a bluff on there, but I have a feeling he's going to check back to me anyways. So I don't really think I was getting. I think the only way I was getting value was to put a bet in there. I probably can consider a smaller bet than a full half pot, but I have to look at that next time. Fisher's in the tank. Sits out and folds. Not in the tank, probably just not paying attention. Ace 6 king with the nutted diamonds. I think it's just too weak on both ends to get involved under the gun with that. Just call me Mr. Net. 4, 7, 8, 9. It's definitely got some possibilities in a high-low context. There's lots of nice straighty things happening up with the 7, 8, 9. But again, when you straight out with 7, 8, 9, you're not pulling very many great low hands out of that unless you're pairing it with an ace deuce in some way. So I think I'll see a flop with this. Hitting two pairs is never going to be a terrible place to be. I think it could be a check raise because I don't really want, well, obviously I'm not check raising, but I am check calling. So no hearts is what we're looking for. Bonus, we're there. Binkage. Alrighty, that's a nice, it's a nice little cushion for us now. 40 odd big blinds, 41 big blinds. I think out of position, I'm going to fold that one out. Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate, but it's the way it goes sometimes. Three, 5, 6, 10 with diamonds in position. Could definitely have played that, I think, in position to the Fisher raise, but yeah, and I mean, it would have worked out pretty well for us as well had we done so. Alrighty, so that little binkage there put us into a 408th position. Registration, late registration ends in 26 minutes. There's 264 places being paid. Currently, min cash is $85.80 and $15,946 up top. Throw a raise in with deuce 3-4 double suited. We have hit the guarantee, but for the record, it is 2,022 people registered now. Prize pool of $101,150. Checking to the aggressor here. I'm pretty happy with that ace, frankly. So, and especially with this check, I'm going to throw some chips in the pot. Okay, I'm going to take it down here fairly often, fair highly numbered times. I think that his pre-flop aggression was positional in that particular case. It doesn't necessarily need to be, but if it was something like an ace-ace, he's going to play it the same way because when that flop comes down, I can have the straight cards on there so much that he really doesn't want to, any sort of big pairs that he was re-raising me on pre-flop are going to just lose their luster, I think, at that point. Deuce 5, 7, 9, double suited. It's probably worth a defend. One of the things viewers probably notice from watching me is I don't defend as often as other people tend to do. That's going to work fairly well for us. Nines and sevens, sevens and deuces, nines and deuces. There's a lot of ways we can look at our two pair here. With the decent low draw as well on that, I think it was worth a bet. I think it's worth at this point keeping our aggression up. The blinds are raising. We're coming to the end of registration pretty quick. So I think that keeping the aggression up is going to be the way to go. I'm going to do delayed c-bet on this one. See if he wants to throw some money in on that. We're definitely going to c-bet the 6 coming up. I think this will be a fold, even on the button. I obviously could be raising this again, but I think my aggression, well, and this actually means that I don't have a decision to make anymore, which is nice, so I'm just going to fold this out. Remember, this is no limit, not pot limit, so people can shove their whole stack anytime they want. It doesn't have to be just a pot size bet. So changes the dynamics a little bit anyways. So currently my stack's putting me in 221st position, which is a cashing spot if things stay the way they are. So that's worth doing. Again, I'm not really that concerned about what position my chip stack puts me in relative to the rest of the field. I'm more concerned with, does my chip stack give me the ability to do what I need to do given the current blind levels? And the answer to that is yes. And so yeah, that was really nitty actually, and probably more of a misclick than anything else, because I probably should be playing, even though the low's weak-ish, the nutted clubs and the 3 cards to a low are probably worth putting money in, I think, especially when I can be a bit of a chip bully with my stack to a certain extent. Although granted, it is Noni with the big stack here on the big blind, so maybe it was probably, maybe being nitty was the best move there. Alrighty, coming up on our break here pretty quick. I think we'll get 1 or 2 more hands in before the break comes in, but it's going to be pretty quick here. As usual, I'm going to zip off and do my custodial duties. Break will start when this hand finishes, but I've got a pretty good hand here in the big blind, so I think I'm going to be sticking around to play it. If he shoves, I am calling this pretty much every day of the week. Just so many possibilities to come out here. And boom, binkage! Gotta like that going into break. That is an excellent, excellent situation to go into break with. Alrighty, I am going to have a bit of a break, and I will be back shortly. Alrighty, I am back. Hello, everybody. We are back. Take the break sign off. A quick look at the lobby. Have a quick look at the lobby here. Where we're at, sitting 137th out of 332 people remaining. First place pays out $16,845.76, and a min cash of funny. I'm trying to move the thing on the wrong screen. Min cash of 87.74 at the moment. Gonna get rid of that one, I think. Right, so that's enough for the lobby. We will go. You guys didn't see what I got rid of there, but in fact, what I got rid of was the Deuce 7 Jack King. Queen, Queen, 7 Deuce, slightly different situation. The Queens make that a much stronger hand to work with. So I think this is going to be a raise when it folds to me. Seven Deuce is obviously not the greatest low hand in this context, but it's definitely playable with the pair of kings for sure, or pair of queens, I mean, for sure. Obviously don't like seeing the ace come up on that, but I still think putting a continuation bet in is probably not a bad idea here. It does actually make our low draw a heck of a lot stronger because he's going to be ace deucing this quite a bit, and or ace 3, ace 4, those sorts of hands for low. So the ace coming up does make his low harder to hit. So I think I'm going to call this. It's a bit weak, I think, because I think the high draw is going to be, I think my queens are beat with an ace here quite a bit, but I still think that I've got a good low draw possibility. And yeah, like I said, we hit the low, and that was, I'm in there specifically because that ace comes. I know that it beats my when the ace comes. I know that it cripples my high, but I also know that it makes my low like 10 times stronger. So it's it's one of those things that do I like the ace or not? Well, yes, I yes and no. I like I both like and dislike the ace because it just makes one of my hands better and one of my hands worse. Four, five, 10 queen. I think that's definitely a foldable hand in this spot. I'm going to raise the pair of fours here with the clubs. I think that FNX is in a situation now where it's shove or fold with him. And I think against me, he's going to wait until he has a fairly high value hand to shove with. So I think I'm going to get a lot of steals out of him as we go through. But that's just, I mean, I don't really want to abuse that because I know that he can easily start shoving back at me. And if I'm not, I'm not going to want to be doubling him up in those spots. So I suppose I really should be raising a lot of my buttons there to prevent him from doing what he just did, which is shoving on PLO check and making her fold out her weaker hands. Yeah, I've actually got to start adding that into my game to make sure that because FNX here is really in a tough spot with where the blinds are at the moment. I'm pretty happy with that flop actually. The Obviously, there's still an ace deuce out there that's got me crippled in the low hand. I don't necessarily put Fisher on that. I mean, he certainly could be with this, but we've also got like great possibilities here as well. I think it needs a 5, but oh, he does have the ace deuce deuce. But again, we were in there because we were going to be good for the half that pot most of the time. So got to be in. You got to be in for those. You're going to suck out the. You're going to suck out the scoopage there from time to time as well. So ace deuce 6-9 is definitely going to be a raisable hand. Got the diamonds going for us as well, even though they're not nutted. Not a terrible. Can't always have nutted. Can't always have nutted suits. Taking that one down pre is not a horrible thing. I don't think it's ever a horrible thing to take them down pre. I think with the nutted clubs here and the ace 4-5-8, we've got basically four cards to the low. I think we're calling this shove on us. Obviously, depending on other action, but I think that we're definitely, if it comes down to us closing the betting, we're definitely calling us. I think, with the situation that we're in here. I mean, the odds aren't hugely great. We're getting like 1.5 to 1. You know what? I'm just going to give him this one. The odds weren't quite good enough, I don't think, for that hand. Now that I'm looking at it, I mean, it's really only the nutted clubs was really all that was making that. It's really all that was making that worthwhile. So. I think the pair of queens I could definitely get involved with here, but without a low, I think I'm definitely going to be in a lot of grief a lot of times with that, so I think getting out of the way is perfectly fine as well. Alrighty, late registration ending in 3 minutes, so by the time you hear my voice, late registration will be closed. $110,000 prize pool, almost $111,000 prize pool. Probably will be 100. Yeah, will be 111 for sure before things close down. I know I folded a pair of queens there, but again, I've got no low happening here. And although I'm in position, it's probably a bit nitty being in position here. I mean, I could certainly call behind and see a flop and see what, if there's no low developing on the flop, that I can be a bit more aggressive with it. But I really prefer playing a hand like this over, the previous one with queens. I'm probably calling shoves here too, for the record, except for obviously PLO check. If she gets involved, it changes the situation. But either Fisher or FNX, I was calling. Can fold that. So 2 minutes left in late reg. 2,232 people regged total now. Just over 1,000 left in the tournament. 288 places getting paid out. 3 queens with no low is going to be a bad Omaha high-low hand, for the record. 3 queens with any other card is going to be a bad Omaha hand, for the record, pretty much across the board. So, yeah, I tanked on this one for a bit. I don't really know. This is the ace 4-5-8 one where the guy shoved on me from under the gun, and I tanked over whether I was going to call or not. I just don't think I'm getting enough odds to call that. I think I'm just doubling FNX up too many times there, frankly. Just not something I want to do at this stage of the game, doubling anybody up. Somebody doubled FNX up. I think it must have been Noni. I saw him complaining about something recently. So Fisher has min raised with tens and a 3-4. I think I have to see a flop with this. I could certainly put the pressure on, but I think I have to see a flop at least with it. Going to check to the aggressor here. It's going to be a check call situation, I think, most of the time. With no low here, I'm going to keep checking to the aggressor. Let him see if he wants to put out a continue. And I think I'm definitely going to throw a value bet in here with my pair of tens, assuming it's the best hand. Then I might get called by a 9 or an 8. I suppose an ace high might even call me thinking that I was on a spade draw or a low draw. Can have a look at what he called me with there. That's going to be an interesting study. He hit the 8 on the river. So that kind of was a bad deal for him, but well, it's the way it goes, and it's poker, right? Again, I think the ace 4, even with the suited diamonds, is probably going to be too weak to make a call like this at this stage. So I think just folding and letting these two work it out is going to be the way to go. This is definitely a hand we're going to want to get involved with. We're going to be certainly, at the very least, calling in position. We're going to be putting raises in quite a bit. We're going to be 3-betting actually quite a bit as well, I think, if somebody raised in front of us. We're going to have put and a 3-bet a lot of times with a hand like this. 3 nutted low cards, four cards to the low, nutted diamonds, all sorts of straight. It's just, you can't really. This is another one that you just can't really get away from. You're gonna have to put money into the pot with that, and we're gonna have to call with this one. Oof. Well, we took the top anyways. That's gonna happen. Alrighty, registration is now closed. It's 2,258 people finally registered in this. There's 905 left. 288 people are going to cash this sucker. First place, $17,783.12. A min cash is going to earn you $89.19, which, given the fact that we are in this for $19.20, not a bad return on our investment even if we manage to min cash. Of course, that's never the objective that we get. It's always nice to keep in mind that we're pretty much free rolling once we hit that min cash stage. So. I guess it's going to be a fold pretty much all the time. There's really no prospects on either end for us, or not many prospects on either end for us. You got to think that one of the aces are going to be there. Ace deuces, ace threes are going to be there. And cue the complaint by Noni. Complains by shoving. It's definitely that's definitely a rage shove. But what are you going to do? I can't really call with that anyways. And boom, Noni's done. That's a bit brutal. On Noni. We got moved to a new table. 834 people left. We're 191st at the moment. Absolutely no way that we can sit on our laurels, though. This is going to be a fight right down to the money, I think, because it's just, I mean, we're 32 big blinds now. And yeah, so I think it's going to be a fight right down to the wire. And we can't slow down our aggression. We got to keep the aggression up. We got to keep pushing where we can. We have to look at the new table dynamic, though. Sadly, we kind of had a good read on a lot of the players at the other table, I think. And now, of course, I'm shooting in the dark. But that's tournament poker for you, right? That's part of the skill set of tournament poker, is being able to play your game in a completely dark situation where you've just sat down at the table. And then be able to quickly get yourself up to a situation at that new table where you're not playing dark anymore. So, I mean, I think that's one of the key skills of tournament poker that differs from cash poker, because, of course, in the cash game, you're largely picking your spot, right? You're largely assessing the spots that are available and going for the one that seems like it's the best. That's never the case in tournament poker. The only time you're really doing that in tournament poker is in the metagame, where you're choosing the tournament you're going to enter based on where you think you're going to have the edge. But once you put your money down in the tournament, of course, where they put you is entirely random. So you have to be able to adapt to the situation that you're put in. Very quickly, and you also have to be able to play dark very effectively as well, I think, without really any information on your opponents, or the very limited information that you get just from looking at screen names and backgrounds and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think that's one of the unique skill sets. $789 remaining now in this tournament. Of course, you guys can see that on the info tab there. It's one of the reasons I keep it open. It's much more efficient, space efficient than the lobby is. That's for darn sure. Ace 399. I think this is definitely going to be a defend. With the suited spades, I think we definitely got a lot of value in this. Definitely think that it's 3-bettable actually from this spot, but I also think that I'm gonna call and see a flop a lot of times. We're still in a fairly precarious spot in the tournament, so putting a ton of my chips on the line is gonna be something that I'm going to do in this spot, I think, because I'm pretty happy with the way that it's come down. I've got oodles of outs, and I think that really I'm going to be just giving away chips too often if I don't come through and call there. And boom. Binkage! Alrighty, we got to like that. And that's one of those spots where you got to be willing to put your chips in on places where you have really high equity, but are fairly certain that you don't have the best hand at that exact moment in time. You've really got to be willing to put your chips on the line for those drawing situations, because you're going to be hitting big wins quite a bit. I think I've just frozen up on my hand again, on my screen again as well. So I am going to, one moment here, I'm going to fix this up. Let's see if that thing with yeah, no, I'm going to have to start this. Hang on a sec. I'm going to play with my tables again, and we'll be back in a second. I'm frozen up. I got to get back to that. So let's close this, do that. Let's go to our lobby, take my seat again. And we're back. There we go. So I've raised the ace, 3, 6, king with the suited spade, suited nut of spades. Alrighty, good to know. Thanks, thanks, Josh. Appreciate that. Good to bear in mind. Ace 6, 6, 8. I think I'm going to fold this one out. I'm fairly comfortable with my spot, obviously, now in the tournament. That little bit of bankage was very, very, very nice. You haven't seen that on stream yet. I'm just looking up on stream. You haven't seen that yet, but you will see the hand where we do that. It was a nice little bit of bankage. This would be the hand, in fact. Ace 3, 5 is going to be a pretty strong hand all the time. The ace queen's got decent high possibilities there, but I'm really playing this on the ace 3, 5. The queen's largely superfluous to my decision making in this hand, frankly. The diamonds were superfluous to my largely to my consideration pre-flop, but now that we've hit 2 diamonds that happen to give me a straight flush draw, You know, we're going to value those. We're going to do some value on that. With better odds, I'd obviously be considering calling this hand. I'm actually am considering calling this hand, but I can't. My time bank's gone down to 0 since that last time my table froze. It's a big wee. This is a very pretty looking Omaha high-low hand that we're going to get involved with. 2, 3, 4, 6. Spades. All sorts of straighty stuff happening. Not the greatest flop in the world for us. Definitely going to check through for a free turn though. Getting better for us. We've got the third nut low draw now. And a gut shot. If a 5 comes, we hit the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight. So we got a gut shot happening as well. So I think it's worth checking through for a free river card. The free river card does not give us anything. We have basically 6 high. Pair of 8s. No, 2 pair. Actually, we're playing the board. 2 pair, kings and 8s, 7 high is what we are playing, now that I look at it. I could obviously try to bluff this. I don't think it gets through very often, so I think just giving up and checking back is the way to go here. Definitely going to get involved with this one as well. Ace, deuce, 3, 6, 4 cards to the low, 3 cards to the nuts. Definitely involved. This is definitely the sort of hand that I could defend this kind of thing with, but I think there I'm going to fold it. The odds weren't great for it, and I am really only looking at the lows there. I don't know. That was probably pretty nitty, actually, now that I think about it. It's probably one of those spots where I should have been willing to put the chips in the middle, I think. That was a pretty nitty fold, too, actually, now that I think about it. Wow. Move to other table. Playing dark again for a bit. It was one of the reasons why I was getting out of the way there with the good but marginal hands, is because that Satoshi up there at the top was definitely playing a bit crazy. 574 remaining now, 288 pay, as you can see in the info tab. Getting down to the money. I think this is probably a fold. I said that knowing that Takis was about to shove. King, King, Jack, 6. I think I'm probably raising that one when it folds around to me. I think I got a call here. I mean, he could certainly have hearts. And I don't have a low, but I really don't think I can get away with it, get away from it. The splitting was the most likely thing to happen there, but I was definitely putting myself at a risk there, knowing I didn't have a low. Get rid of the 9s there without a low hand. With the nutted spades and the ace-3, I think we got to raise that hand as well. We got to be c-betting the pair of aces as well, pretty much all the time. Most of the time we want to take this down here because things just get uglier for us as we get turns and rivers coming out on boards like that usually. So that c-bet was more to take it down than it was, looking for value, frankly. Three, three, a 10, jack. I think I can get rid of that one as well. Under 500 people remaining, 494, so basically 200 to go till we're in the money. I am sitting 85th, so pretty good spot. I'm going to check through, catch a free flop here, see what comes down. The ace on the flop obviously makes our low somewhat stronger. The 7 deuce is going to be a winning low hand actually here fairly often. I think Romdom's going to be betting here on if he was playing an ace low of some kind. He's going to be betting here a lot. But I don't think I have enough strength to really go much farther in that. The only thing I've got is the 7 deuce, and there's a lot of deuce hands that take me out there. So I think I'm just going to fold this one out as well. Not real thrilled with hands that are all for the same suit in Omaha. Really cripples your chances of those suits coming out on the flop usually. Yeah, I suppose good point, Daz. I suppose that's a very good point. You definitely need to be paying attention to your stack at this stage of the tournament and paying attention to where you're willing to risk chips. This is one of those spots that definitely with the ace deuce I'm willing to risk. I don't know what he does. I don't know what I do if he shoves on me. I think obviously with the up and down straight now we're definitely going to c-bet this here. Pair of sixes with the 5-9. I think we'll get out of the way with the open from Takis. People are dropping out of here pretty quick. No surprise at these blind levels. A lot of small stacks. God, I don't know why my nose is so itchy today. Probably looks wonderful to you guys on the stream watching me scratch my nose all day in the tournament. Alrighty, tack us all in with a pair of queens, but the flush takes it down. Three, five, six, jack. I might, in a different position, get involved with this, but I think this is one of those spots where I just have to be disciplined and lay it down. Down to 420 people left in the tournament. It's a 420 moment. Folding that one, I think, for fairly obvious reasons. It would turned out to be a decent situation for us, but not a great one. Gets better on the turn, gets better on the river, but even still, we're not nutted. though we would have taken the high. It's going to happen a lot, though, where you fold hands that might win. It doesn't necessarily mean you should have been playing them. Uh-oh, I think I might be frozen again. There we go. No, it seems to be working okay. It was frozen for a second. I've fallen out of the top 100 briefly, although it says I'm 99th, so I'm